All right, everybody, welcome. Thanks for joining our first seminar since post-mint. We have delayed the last couple of weeks on the Academy. There's been a few changes in structure and the staffing of the Academy that have forced us to make some new changes to everything. So we're going to start working on that and providing more of these types of group lessons and some more of those one-on-one coachings, a few that we even still owe people. So we're going to start working on onboarding our pros again and getting everybody into their seminars the way we were doing before. We expect to have a couple of seminars every week, 2 or 3 for the next couple of months, and then we'll go from there, open up the Academy via Web2 website that we have been working on. Go ahead and start today. I want to introduce Micro Grinder. If you guys have seen him on the tables, then you're well aware that he's a crusher and you should fear him. And with that fear comes lots of education that he's happy to share with everybody. He actually posts on TikTok. If you want, buddy, go ahead and in the seminar chat just above this, if you want to post links to any of your socials, like your TikTok or your YouTube or anything else that you do, if you're still streaming, and then I'll go ahead and let you share that with everyone. And I want everyone to get to know you a little better before you get started, to give some validation to the fact that you know what you're talking about. I think it'll be very clear by the end of this lesson that you're truly a professional, and hopefully we'll be able to get you to come back and teach some more lessons. We're really excited about that. So I won't sit here and chat the whole time. I've got a nice bowl of Kung Pao chicken to fucking mow down on. So I'm going to do that while you teach everybody. And I just want you to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell everyone a little bit about yourself, how long you've been playing poker, and what we're going to get into today. And the next hour is all yours, buddy. So good luck.
Thanks for the kind words. Hi everyone. Hope everybody is having a fantastic day today. Now let's get into this. So, as you know, my name is Microgrinder. I'm by profession I am industrial designer and engineer, and also a poker player. You can say I'm a designer by day, engineer, and a poker player by night. I have played poker for many years, almost 20 years now. So I have played, I have learned a lot, I have acquired a lot of information and knowledge, and I'm ready to share it here, and hopefully everyone will enjoy this seminar. So today we're going to speak about basic preflop strategy and about the components of winning poker. So to start off, why preflop? Because every hand begins preflop, and it's very important to know what to do preflop. And after preflop, we can move to the something else. But first of all, basic preflop, and then we can move on. So yeah, the first component of winning poker is good cards. So it's good to have good cards, and if you can make sets, straights, flashes, good combination of cards, you can win at poker even if you're not really good at it. And if you struggle to make good hands, you can't win even if you are very good at it. So first of all, best starting hands what we have are the big pocket pairs, strong big cards like ace queen, ace jack type hands, medium pocket pairs, the suited aces, suited connectors, and weaker pocket pairs. Those are good starting hands, and with them you can make strong combinations and win some good size pots. And from the other hand are the worst starting hands. For example, those are the junky connectors like 8-5 offsuit, or even junky suited cards like 10-3 suited, some big and little cards like queen deuce, king 3, those type of hands, and unconnected low cards, as you know, 7 deuce, which is the worst possible hand in poker. A little bit about the first component. Now we're moving to the second component, which is solid understanding of the game, aka the fundamentals, and understanding the pre-flop ranges, post-flop play, bet sizings, etc. For starters, I want to let you know that you can download some free poker software like Equilab from pokerstrategy.com. This will give you a quick. You can just input some hands, see which hands is good, which hands are not so good, how they compare against each other. Like for example, you can input like ace king against deuces, which gonna win more percentage of the time. So this is a free tool. You can download it, and I suggest everybody who plays poker and wants to know more about it, this is the place where to start. Just download some free software and get to know the software. Next thing, not the software, we're gonna talk about table positions. In the image you see is a representation of the 6-max table. We have the positions. We have the blinds, we have the late position, we have mid position, and we have an early position. I have chosen this as 6-max table as an example because it will be easier to learn the basics from the view of 6-max table. I will be talking about 100 big blind deep plays. It will be like, it can be adjusted to the cash games, also beginning of the tournaments, whatever, but those will be the fundamentals that you need to know so you can start learning more about and deeper understanding about the poker. As you know, we have the blinds, the late position, the mid position, early positions. If we're gonna have like a larger table, 9-max table, then you're gonna just add some more early position seats. So there will be, if you play 3-handed tables, there will always be blinds and a big blind. If you play 4-max, there's gonna be blinds, button, and a cutoff, and so on. So basically, you are counting the positions counterclockwise, and if the table gets bigger, you just add some new seats and getting in the early positions. So also all the hands you're gonna play, not all the hands, but most of the hands you're gonna play are going to be mid and late positions, and also the blinds. So those will be the most crucial spots to know, to understand, and to go from there. So I mentioned something about ranges. I don't know, maybe you know or you don't know the terminology. If you don't know terminology, I will post some links where you can just check the terminology so you can quickly understand what I'm talking about. But let's go ahead and talk about the ranges. Range is a set of hands that a player could have in any specific situation. It means that you need to realize that you are playing many hands in the same manner from any given spot. So basically, in all spots that you are playing, in every hand, you are playing a range of hand, not a specific one hand. Example, you are raising from the button, you are raising aces, you are raising pocket deuces, you are raising king queen, you are raising jack 10. Those are a lot of hands, which is all combined into one chunk, which is called range, and this is your range, which are you playing. And the same goes for your opponent as well. Your opponent will never play one specific hand. Your opponent is playing a range of hands. This is one of the fundamentals that you need to know. So, and let's moving on. So, if you play a range of hands, not a specific hand, it makes impossible for your opponent to know which hand you have, because you're gonna play a different type of hands in the same manner, and it will be harder for your opponent to understand what exactly do you have. Do you have a made hand, strong hand, do you have a bluff, etc. So you need to understand that we are always going to speak about ranges. And to better explain ranges, you need to know how to read a hand ranking chart. A hand ranking chart is a hand matrix based on 13 by 13 cards. You can see it on the screen. So in the middle, in red, is represented the pairs. On the right side or on the top side, in a blue color, is represented all hands that are suited. And on the bottom or in a green color, all hands that are unsuited. You will need to get familiar with this matrix. You will need to understand how to read it, and it will help you also to when you are talking about hands, when you are talking or explaining some hands to other people, or you are talking with coach about how you played your hand. Always you're gonna use a hand ranking chart to better understand how the hand was played, what type of range did you play, in what kind of manner, etc. Another place where you can use and get a free soft is pokercoaching.com range analyzer, which is just a free place where you can go and you will see this kind of hand analyzer tool, which will be easy. You can color code some different hands, just make notes, explain how are you playing the hands, etc. But these are just the basic tools, what you need to know where to find them, and you need to learn how to use them. So, and the third component of the winning poker is understanding and knowing your opponent. Understanding their ranges and how they approach the game. So, the player types are a big topic itself. I'm not gonna spend much time here, but you need to know and divide the players into some few groups, like players who play too many hands, passively or aggressively, players who play too few hands, passively or aggressively, and players who play roughly the correct amount of hands and in intelligent manner. So these will be just the basic how you can manage and how you can think about the players. This is just the few things to take it in consideration. As we know, everybody talks about poker instincts, and everybody thinks they have a great poker instincts, but I will need to say this, that nearly everyone overrates their own instincts. But your instincts are as good as how well do you know your own opponent, basically. The better you know your opponent, the better you can understand what he is doing wrong, the better your poker instincts will be. And another problem is a lot of people, a lot of poker players are trying to project their own theories, their own game plan, their own ranges to their opponent. And this is a very big mistake, because you need to pay attention how your opponent is playing. Then you can make some notes, create the understanding what your opponent is doing, and go from there. You cannot just simplify your opponent as lag or a fish or a calling station, right? This is just wrong. You need to make a little bit clearer picture. Basically, you need to make notes. By making notes, you're gonna make a bigger picture of your opponent and what is he doing. And this is how you're going to understand your opponent's preflop strategy, and this will colorate how your opponent is approaching the game. Because you can take a lot of things out of the preflop play. If you pay attention, make some notes how he approaches preflop, you will get a general idea how he plays the whole game. And of course, the more info you will have on your opponent, the better decision you can make. So basically, pay attention, make notes, and your poker instincts will be better. All right, this was like the short introduction, and we're gonna move on, talking about the real stuff, the preflop, and what to do preflop. When you're sitting at the poker table and everyone folds to you, what is your action? So I need to tell you that you are going to either raise or fold. do not open limp. So basically you have an option either to raise or fold. You will need to skip this part and try not to limp. The second thing is a sizing. What sizing should we choose? I will talk about two positions. One is when you are in position, or when you are last to act throughout the hand, you are going to raise 2.5 big blinds, the initial 2.5 big blinds. If you will need to 3-bet, you are going to, and you are in a position, you're gonna raise 3 times the opponent's size. And if you need to 4-bet, this is going to be 2.5 times the opponent's 3-bet size. When you're gonna be out of position, meaning you're gonna act first on every street, you're gonna use 3.5 big blind, the raise size. This is going to be only from the small blind, because if everyone falls to you and you are going to be out of position, that means you are going to raise from the small blind. 3-bet size from out of position will be 3.5 times the opponent's raise, and 4-bet size 2.75 times the opponent's raise size. So what we can see here, when we are in position, our raise sizes will be a little bit smaller than when we are out of position, because it's easier to play in position. You will gather more information, what your opponents are doing, and you can adjust accordingly. But when you are out of position, you are first to act, you will have a tough time playing the hand, first of all, and that's why we are choosing a little bit bigger sizings, so your opponent has to put substantial money in the pot so they can to be able to play the hand. We talked about what we're gonna do. We're gonna raise before the flop. We're not gonna limp. We know now what sizings we can choose whenever we are raising or 3-betting, 4-betting. But what ranges should we choose? Ranges what are displayed here are GTO, Game Theory Optimal ranges for 6 max cash games. It means 100 big blind deep stacks. But I need to tell you one thing. All the ranges that are made assuming your opponent is playing the same GTO strategy. But in real life, it's never gonna be the case, because not many opponents can play the GTO, the Game Theory Optimal strategy, right? They have their own things, their own play style. They choose whatever hands they like to play, and that's why the whole ranges are going to change. But if you learn the basic ranges, it will help you to strengthen your fundamental knowledge about the game. For example, you'll see that on the button you can raise approximately 43% of the hands moving on to the cutoff. You can raise 28, hijack, and low jack, a little bit less hands. So from the earlier position, you are going to play a little less hands than on the later streets. That's why also it's very important to understand what your opponent is doing and adjust accordingly. It is never good just to blindly follow the ranges, because you can make very big mistakes by doing so. But if you just try to adjust what your opponent is doing wrong, this is how you can make the most money from poker. So you had your ranges, you raised pre-flop with your raise, and somebody 3-bets you or re-raises, right? What you need to consider. So first of all, you need to consider your opponent's strategy. Your opponent's range. For example, if your opponent's range is wide, or they are playing loose, meaning they are playing a lot of hands, you also need to play more hands or defend against the 3-bet with more hands. The second you need to think about and consider is the 3-bet amount. If the 3-bet amount is small, you're also going to be playing more hands. This is also crucial because you need to know the fundamentals. What is the correct raise sizing? And if you see or spot somebody who is doing incorrect raise sizes, or for example the 3-bet size will be smaller, then it's just mathematically correct to play more hands. Next thing to take in consideration is your position in general. If you are later position, meaning you are on the hijack or cutoff, you're gonna play more hands. And also your opponent's position. For example, if you are in position against your opponent, you're also gonna play more hands. So these are 4 things that you need to consider. About the position, for example, I want to show you this slide where is comparison, but if you are raising from the cutoff, for first chart is shown you get a 3-bet from the button, and the second one you get 3-bet from the big blind. How these positions will change your range that you are going to play. For example, as you can see, if you get 3-bet from the button, you will be out of position. If you're 3-bet from the big blind, you are going to play the hand in position. When you are out of position, you're gonna fold more hands and play more aggressively, meaning you're gonna have more 4-bets and more 4-bet bluffs and less of a calling. But when you are in position, you can fold less, call more, 4-bet also less. So basically, when you are in position, you can see a lot more flops and just take advantage of the position, take advantage of the information you can gain on every street, and go from there. This is about when you raise and when you get 3-bet, etc. And now nobody folds to you, but there's some limpers. What you're gonna do now and what you need to consider facing some limpers. First of all, you need to take in consideration the number of players you are against, your opponent's strategy, and your position. Again, you need to consider always the fundamental stuff. How many players you are against, what is your opponent's strategy, have you had any notes on your opponent, what is he doing this with, and so on. And you're gonna raise over a limper to 4.5 big blinds. Let's talk about a tricky limper, for example. If you see a tricky limper, which means tricky limper, he limps with some part of premium hands to trap. He will be limping, waiting on your raise, and then he is going to re-raise you again. So most tricky limpers limp and 3-bet only with their best hands. And if you pay attention, make some notes, it will benefit you in the long run. Also, most tricky limpers are only tricky from early positions. They will most likely not be so tricky if they are on the button or cutoff. So, and note that as well. As I said, there are tricky limpers who are limping some premium hands and trying to play limp re-raise pots with the big hands, but there's also straightforward limpers. They usually have a junk ranges, meaning not very good hands. So they raise with a range similar, not there, but facing those straightforward limpers, if you have some notes on that guy, that he's just straightforward, he's just limping any decent hand or just a junky hand, you're gonna approach it as it has folded to you. You're gonna raise with a similar range that is your pre-flop range. Of course, always there will be some exceptions where you can limp behind with some suited connectors, suited aces, small pairs, but this is exception. You need to know that there are some exceptions. There always are some exceptions, but for now, just stick to the plan of always raising. Also, you will see, and I saw as well playing hands on SolCity, that you can face also multiple limpers. When you face multiple limpers, things to consider is the first limper strategy is the most important one. Because if he's a tricky limper, maybe the guy who limps behind also have noticed that, and you need to take in consideration the first limper strategy. Hands like unsuited marginal hands, like King 10 or King 9, like Queen 8 offsuit, these hands are going way down in value because you will play a pot against multiple players. Also, playing against multiple limpers, bluffing may be an option, but you need to know how often are they actually folding, even if they are folding at all. So, and if they are not folding, there is no need to even bluff. And for the raise sizes, it's easy, just 3.5 big blinds plus 1 big blind for each limper. So if there are 2 limpers, you're gonna raise to 5.5 big blinds. If there are 5 limpers, you're gonna raise to 8.5 big blinds. So, as well, going back to the 3 components of the winning poker player, you need to know the fundamentals, the sizings, and if you're gonna raise over 5 limpers to 4 big blinds, you're just gonna burn money, and there is no need for that. So I'm gonna try to explain you all the specific fundamental things that you need to remember and take in consideration every time you play the game. So if we done with the limpers, we can talk about when somebody raises before you, right? Sometimes you're gonna sit, somebody gonna raise before you, and then what to do. And again, starting from the basics, you need to understand your opponent's strategy. Is he loose or passive? Loose and passive, meaning he is a calling station. So you need to fold more hands. Maybe this sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but against a loose passive calling station, if he is raising, you will need to fold more often. If you face a loose aggressive player, you will need to play also more aggressively. You're gonna 3-bet more, and you're gonna call more. Basically, you're gonna play a little bit more hands than usual. If you face a tight aggressive player, you're just gonna play default strategy. But if you face a tight passive player who raises, you're gonna fold more often. So basically, if you face aggressive action from a passive player, you're gonna fold more often. If you're gonna face aggressive action from a player who you expect to be playing aggressively, you're just gonna play either in the same manner or a little bit more aggressive. And the raise amount. You need to continue more against smaller raise sizes. And again, you need to know what are the correct or supposedly correct raise sizes. And if you face smaller sizes, you also can play more hands. and of course your position. As your position improves, you are getting closer to the button. You can play more hands. And I was telling you about the adjustments, how to understand and how much to adjust and whatnot. I have prepared one example, how it will look like, how the ranges will look with your adjustments. For example, you have your default strategy. For example, somebody raises from hijack and you are in the cutoff. You will be using the first range. How you're gonna play against that guy? For example, you're gonna call 11%. You're gonna 3-bet 7%, right? You're gonna use these type of hands, pocket pairs, and some weaker suited kings, king 9, king 8, queen 9, some weaker suited ace 5 or ace deuce as a 3-bet bluffs, right? But if you face a tighter raiser, you are just not going to use any bluffs against that guy. You're gonna call a little bit more, but you're gonna 3-bet a little bit less hands. So as you can see, you are playing the same amount of hands, but you are playing them in a little bit different manner. And again, if you face a very loose player, you are going to play a little bit more hands, meaning you're gonna fold a little bit less. You're gonna play more aggressively. You're gonna play a lot more with 3-bets. You're gonna choose a lot of hands to 3-bet with, and you're gonna call much more than you're gonna call a tight or default strategy. Basically, this is how looks the adjustment. You're not gonna adjust like playing straight away like ace deuce offsuit or 10-5 offsuit and try to outplay some aggressive player and re-raise them again, but you're gonna use a specific range, but you're gonna play a little bit different hands in a different manner. So few percentages right or left, but nothing crazy, right? So what next? Next is there should be sometimes a lot of action, and as well you need to what you need to consider then. If you see a lot of action going on, you need to consider how many players are you against. What are your opponent's strategy? Are they aggressive? Are they passive? What are they going to do? Also the raise amounts. And all the time what I'm saying, what you need to consider are those basic components. Just your opponent's strategy, how you can adapt to your opponent and go from there. And of course, your position. Basically, when there are multiple players and they are putting substantial money in the pot, you need to remember somebody will have a very strong range. In order to continue, you need to have yourself an incredibly strong hand. So, if there is too much action, don't fall in love with your hand. You need to learn to fold, and the folding will make you more money. So basically you need to understand what type of situation it is, how to approach, and if there is too much action, you have a marginal hand, it's nothing bad, you can fold and move on. So this was in short some basic stuffs what I can tell you about what to do in specific preflop situations, what to take in consideration, and I will tell you also the biggest preflop leaks, which is throughout all the player pool, people having these leaks all the time, and those are using the incorrect preflop bet sizes, defending the big blind poorly, which is also a different, we can make a different seminar about this topic. They are not 3-betting often enough. They are defending poorly against 3-bets, meaning if somebody 3-bets you, you are making mistakes by not adjusting your ranges and how to play against different 3-bets. Failing to exploit opponents when folded to. So sometimes you get folded to and maybe they are weaker players in the blinds, but you don't see that, you haven't made the notes that you want to play more pots against them, and you just fold. Maybe in that spot you need to realize that you can play more hands, and basically you need to pay attention to the table and what is happening on the tables. And the last biggest leak is not adjusting when likely to be in position. So the same goes. You see maybe you are on the cutoff and you see on the button is sitting a player who is very tight, and basically you can use your cutoff position as you would have been in on the button, and you can raise much more hands. And not realizing these small things, just you can leave a lot of money on the tables. So basically these all leaks can be plugged using the components of winning poker player, meaning starting hands, knowing the fundamentals, knowing the raise sizes and stuff like that, and knowing your opponent. Also, I wanted to add some questions that you can ask when playing a hand. And what questions should you ask playing pre-flop? So, who is likely to 3-bet me and how can I adjust? This question you can just, when you are sitting at the table, observing, even if you are not in a hand, you can just ask and evaluate which player is more aggressive, where I can raise more, maybe where I need to be a little bit tighter, and so on. Next question is, who open raises too often and do they fold to 3-bets? So, as we spoke earlier, if somebody raises too much, you need to play more aggressively. And if your opponent folds against some bigger aggression, then you can exploit that. Just knowing what your opponent is doing can get you more money. And also a question, if you do this, if you 3-bet, how will the remaining players respond? Basically, if you adjust, are there players who will adjust as well? Or they will not see your adjustments and play as usual? So basically, you need to see your table and understand how your opponents are playing. And also, probably most important question, how does your hand make money? Because you are dealt, like, for example, aces, and how the aces are making the most money in this specific spot. Do I need to raise? Do I need to call? And so on. If you are getting dealt some hands and there is a lot of action, maybe in this spot your hand makes money by folding. Even it's like contradictable, right? So you fold but you make money. So by folding you are not losing more money. So these are the questions just to ask when you are sitting at the table. Not only when you are playing, maybe you are just absorbing the table, seeing how they are playing. These are just few questions to ask to better understand your table and players you are up against. So, a little bit summary of the preflop. So, in all spots, you are playing your range, not a specific hand, as I mentioned, right? Need to learn how the ranges are looking, how to show the ranges, how to talk about the hand. You can use free software where you can input some hands and see how they are going up against each other. So which is better, which is not so good. You can input some flops and so on. in the programs and the softwares. And also, you need to understand that your opponent also is playing a range of hands in this spot, not a specific hand. Yeah, I was talking about also, you need to know how to read the hand ranking chart, so it will be easier for you moving forward to understand the ranges, and it will help you also better explain the hand you were playing to some other people. And basically this will be like a universal poker language which is going to be used when talked about the hands. Remember, no limping. If everybody folds to you, raise or fold. You need to pay attention to your opponent. I know poker is poker, you just maybe play on your phone and just, oh, there's a good hand you raise or bad hand, but to make the best of it, to make the most money out of the poker game, you need just to pay attention. Pay attention to the game, pay attention to your opponents, try to make some notes, just a small thing. Maybe you see some showdown and you see, okay, he raised this type of hand on that from that position, or he 3-bet a hand from that position against this kind of opponent. So if you get the more information you get, the better your instincts will be and the better decision you will going to make. And knowing this all, you get all the information, you need to adjust. Knowing the fundamentals, you will know how to adjust, which way to adjust, and for how much to adjust. Yeah, so it is very crucial spot. Always, you will always need to adjust, not only to play the ranges or play some kind of straightforward strategy, but you need to adjust as well. So knowing the fundamentals will help you to plug the leaks. The leaks we spoke earlier, all the basically knowing the fundamentals, knowing the sizings, to pay attention to your opponent and playing good cards will help to plug most of the leaks. So if I switch off this one, we can go to those three components of the winning poker. So remember, good starting hands, know your ranges, understand them, solid fundamentals, knowing sizings, knowing positions, spots, 3-bets, etc. Right? Fundamentally sound poker. And third component is knowing your opponent, basically. Pay attention, make some notes, create a bigger picture of your opponent. Do not project your own play style, your own ranges to your opponent. Don't just bluntly say, okay, lag or fish or whatever, right? Create some kind of understanding. Why did he play this hand in what kind of manner? And this will go very far, and you will go very far, and you can make more money by doing so. Yes, and I wanted to say thank you for your time and attention today. And now, if somebody would like to ask questions, speak, just turn on your mic.
I'll speak up.
All right, yeah, thank you.
So how do you, I understand having a plan and the metrics that you're laying out, but how do you play against pure stupidity? Because some people play and they'll play through a whole hand and not ever fold from pre-flop to the end of the game. I know we're on pre-flop stuff, but
Yeah.
they'll keep betting on, even on pre-flop, on like a 7-2, like you said, probably the worst hand in poker, and they'll go all in, and you just don't ever get a chance to play the cards that would win the hand if they would stop being stupid.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
This makes total sense. I understand you. I have gone through that, and this is the third component. So knowing your opponent. Basically, if you know your opponent is not gonna fold, you are not gonna use any bluffs against them. If you know he's not gonna fold, you're just gonna try to hit a better hand by using a better starting hands, hitting some good hands, and then just taking all his money. Don't try to outplay them, because you know this is your opponent who is not folding. Just understand that he is not folding, and if you want to bluff him, just don't. Just fold, wait a better spot, and just take his money.
Okay, because sometimes that gets to be so aggravating, especially early in tournaments, where they just,
Yeah, especially
playing.
if you have a rebuy tournaments or
Yeah.
something, and they just, yeah, why not? Let's go in. I like this hand. But next time you play, next time you saw this guy, make a note. Maybe it will benefit you in the next tournament. You will
I
know.
try to make notes. I'm not overly diligent about it, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, the note taking is basically very beneficial for you. Not only you are understanding this specific opponent, but next time you see something similar, okay, I saw this, he plays in this similar manner, okay, I already have prepared how to play against that guy. So maybe that will help moving forward.
Yeah. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Welcome. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming up and speaking. So, who else wants to talk? Don't be shy, as I said. No one? Maybe. So, do we have Big Changas? Maybe you have finished your chicken. Maybe you have some questions.
What's going on? I just joined back in. I heard my name.
I was just asking somebody to come up and ask questions. Maybe you have some questions.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did step out for the last 30 minutes, but I had to take some other calls. But
No worries. Yeah.
let me ask some questions about you, bro. How long have you been playing poker?
Yeah. So basically, almost 20 years. Half my life I've been playing poker. So.
Were you ever a dealer? You ever work in the industry?
No, I haven't worked. I have only
Lucky.
really
Lucky guy.
grinded live, small local tournaments, small local cash games, online cash games. I have I even have taken my laptop and just went to France to live there and just played poker for a year. So
That's awesome.
poker has helped me to get where I am now today. Learned a lot during these 20 years, not only about the poker, about life and mental aspect of the game, how to prepare yourself. Basically, it helps yourself to become a better person. So if you study and if you do a lot of things, of course, not only play.
Yeah, I agree. I always tell new players that the most important things are truly discipline and bankroll, and especially those two things combined, discipline of your bankroll, and really treating the game as a hobby is really the best way to be successful in poker is to treat it like a hobby, and let that hobby sort of be a hobby can be competitive, and if you really want to win long term, you do have to be competitive, and that means not just sitting down and playing and chucking some cards. That's fine and dandy if you just want to sit down and have fun. But if you
Sure.
really want to be successful, not even just monetarily, if you just want to feel the success of like being a good player, it really is an accomplishing feeling, and it can really help you out with a lot of other aspects in life, and especially like you said, mentally. Once you can really master the basic fundamentals of poker, I truly believe that anybody can master those basic fundamentals. Um, you know, Simple, basic pre-flop strategy as well as like just learning very simple ranges. I think you can start, you can be in the top 10 or 15% of players within a week, honestly. I think most players are actually just, I hate to say it, most players are honestly just really bad. And it's because they don't take the game seriously. Once you have the discipline to really respect the game and sort of the nature of the fact that you're not gambling and you can really accept that it is a sport, then you can really become in that top 10%. Now, I think that the floor to enter being a decent poker player is very low. I truly think anybody can pick up and become a decent poker player in no time, but the ceiling has been proven to be wicked high. And I don't think that anybody in this Discord is in the top, half or 1% in the world of poker skill. It's just, the way it is. There are, I'll take that back. There's a few guys who are in the Discord who have won multiple WSOP bracelets, and although most people will tell you that that doesn't really mean anything, it does kind of mean something because it means that you've mastered the fundamentals, and it means
Yes,
that you've put in enough hours at a high level to understand what you're doing. You don't just go play one WSOP event and fucking take it down and like that's it. Like that's just not a thing. You have to play hundreds of events. If you look at anybody's Hendon Mob records, you'll see, they've played. They're like, wow, 1 million in cash earnings. It's like, yeah, but they've paid $5 million in tournament entries
exactly,
in their
exactly.
lifetime. It's
Yeah,
crazy. So yeah, 20 years of poker, man. It just takes time. Like you've put in a lot of time to learn, and that's really impressive. I'm excited that we got to chatting, and I did miss 20 minutes of this seminar, but I saw the beginning and I knew that it was enough to know that you're the right guy here. And I'm sure everybody in
thank
here
you,
who's
thank
still listening agrees that they really enjoyed the content you just brought, and we're definitely excited to see a lot more of it.
you. Yeah, and all the people, maybe most of the people who are here, the poker is like a hobby to them. So, uh, not to spend a lot of money on your hobby, you can spend a few hours just learning, just understanding the fundamentals. It will bring you not maybe not to a winning poker player, but just a break-even poker player. If you break even with your hobby, you can feel satisfied. This is cool, right? So you don't need to spend money. You can enjoy the game, win sometimes, lose sometimes, but that's okay. All
I
right.
totally agree.
Somebody wants to run?
Even if you just have about, $250 to your name, you can play a 10-cent, 20-cent game.
Sure.
And if you play it efficiently, you can make that money last forever without ever having to deposit again. And maybe you take some small wins here, or maybe you just keep building it to move up to the next stakes. I personally started at a very low stake. And then, during COVID, at one point at my peak, I was playing 10, 20, and 20, 40 games online. And
Nice.
I was lucky to have um, the bankroll that I did, playing those games. Obviously, if you're playing without of your bankroll, like, you're just gambling at that point. So yeah, I definitely encourage everyone just really take the game more seriously, take the time to attend these seminars, watch some YouTube videos, and just absorb the information that's being given to you completely free here. Because not only will it help you make money, it's going to improve your game. And honestly, if you become really efficient at this game, what it's going to do to you outside of the game is going to surprise you. I think it would truly change your life to be able to become not even a professional poker player, but just to become an efficient poker player and truly understand the fundamentals of the game. It is going to change your life.
Yeah, as you said, if you just play the game, know the fundamentals, there is a lot of information out there. YouTube, TikTok, whatever. Yeah, there is information just flowing. But if you know the fundamentals, you can check out those videos and take much more out of them. So, okay, you will be watching those videos with a different perspective. All right, what was the raise sizing? Oh, okay, why did he call with this hand, or why did he 3-bet with this hand? You will start to learn more and more. If you know the fundamentals and you watch the next video, you will just see the poker in a different way, and yeah, and learn more just by
Yeah. And it's very overwhelming at first. I'll tell you guys, I mean, when I first started really learning, the true science behind poker and to really, hone my skills, it was very overwhelming to learn all these concepts that I sort of knew existed about poker, but didn't really understand. I thought, you had to be a genius to really be this good at poker. And the truth is you don't. You just kind of have to get through the part where you're confused. And eventually, after some time and several hours of commitment, it'll all make sense and it'll make so much sense that you'll even start questioning some things. Not every teacher is telling you something that's 100% truth. They're telling you a strategy or they're
Yeah.
telling you, something that does work, but the truth is there's many different play styles and the meta is always evolving in poker, and what you learned 5 years ago is maybe relevant because it makes sense in poker, but often it doesn't pair up with what most people are doing in poker. So you really do have to stay on it. One thing I'd recommend, on GTO Wizard on the site and our sponsorships page, you guys can actually get the GTO Wizard subscription, and you can just sit there and for free. I mean, you're paying for the subscription, but for free, you can sit there and run simulations of hands all day long. So if you spend 30 minutes to an hour every day of just running some simulated hands and practicing your ranges and your spots and your bet sizing, you're going to improve your game incredibly in a very short amount of time. And I'm pretty sure DTO Wizard also allows you to do 10 free hands every day or something. So,
Nice.
yeah, I definitely would recommend you guys go check out GTO Wizard just so that you can understand more about um, specifics of bet sizing and your range and your position, because those are the types of fundamentals that, although you don't have to master GTO, practicing those things is going to give you an understanding of why it's important. And, truly, I'm sure a lot of you are like, what does any of that shit even mean? And how is it relevant? How do I put it all together? Just go fuck around with GTO Wizard, and I think you'll learn some things on your own just from seeing what things you're supposed to be looking at. Even if they don't make sense, you'll know what to look for. And I think that's a very important part of starting.
Yeah, and again, always, if you want to even do the simulations, if you know the fundamentals, you can input the correct data into the GTO wizard, and you can get the correct output, right? So knowing the fundamentals will go a long way. If you learned the fundamentals 10 years ago, the fundamentals are here as well, but today as well. But you just need to adjust to the new concepts, new playing styles, pay attention to your opponents, what is he doing differently, and then just adjust to the game.
Definitely. Hey, man, I really appreciate you doing this seminar today. I think this was a great first edition and a great introduction to what you're going to be able to offer here. I am disappointed to find out that you can only have 25 people in these sessions. So I'm going to have to figure out maybe a better way
Oh,
for us to do that. Unfortunately, you can
hmm.
in the stages you can have, thousands of people, but on the stages for some reason you can't share your damn screen. I'm sure it's something to do with Discord's usage of bandwidth or
But
something, but
I'm not
we'll figure it
sharing
out.
my screen. I'm not sharing my screen. I'm sharing my webcam, and I'm
That's
putting
what it is.
putting a stream from a webcam, from a OBS streaming software to my
Okay.
webcam. So basically,
I I think that's what cuts off 25, because I've shared screen before with 50 or so people watching.
hmm,
So maybe we'll work on something that gives the same quality you have now without sacrificing that 25 person limit. Could do it on Twitch. Yeah, you could do it on Twitch, but I really wanted to keep it localized on the Discord. I really wanted it to be a Gen 2 benefit. Right now, this channel is open to everybody, but I
oh,
really wanted it to be something for Gen 2. And then maybe, you and I will talk about it, some stuff, Micro, but I would love to, like, get these recorded and have you post them on your YouTube or our
yeah,
YouTube or a
yeah, we'll
combination of both.
figure it out. So we can do that for sure. So everything is
Perfect.
recorded, and we will see how it works.
Awesome. Hey guys, thank you all for joining today. Micro, is that everything you got for us today?
Uh, yeah, maybe someone else has something to say.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, go ahead. I know everybody, whenever we do these, everybody's pretty shy. But if anybody has any questions, of course, do please type them out in the seminar chat. I'm going to check to see. Okay, yeah, there's no chat on the actual voice channel. There is, okay. And nobody typed in that one either. If you guys have any questions for Micro, I definitely recommend you can always type in the poker chat or in the hand analysis, or you can come back to the seminar chat. Yeah, very shy. I don't know why everybody's so shy, but I see some people came off mute. If any of you guys had a question, feel free.
Hello, Micro Grinder.
Hi, how are you?
Have you prepared some exercise for us?
Exercise? Not yet,
Yes,
but
because listening to stream is good, but doing
I understand you.
things is
Yeah.
better.
So we can talk about maybe moving forward. I can prepare some weekly homework where you can analyze a hand, then we can go over the hand together and explain and talk about it. This can be done as well. But first, just need to explain the fundamentals to everyone. Would like to, so that everyone understands how to show the hand, how to use the hand ranking charts, and etc. And yeah, moving forward, we can do something like this.
Are you able to post the hand ranking charts in the seminar chat so that they're there for reference?
Seminar chat, I think so. Yeah.
You want hand ranking like which like full house
Like what?
competitive,
Yeah, or like no. Like what should you like?
like a
Ah.
starting range?
What are the outs? What are the outs that your opponent has? You have like 8 kings suited. What are the outs? Like where should you check? Where should you overbet? Where should you shove? Do you have that chart? I was here at the tail end of this. So.
Yeah, there are basically about that there is no charts, but when we're gonna talk about maybe the flop and afterwards turn and river, then I can explain more, and from that whole information we can moving forward we can do some hand analysis and explaining specific spots where we can talk about what type of hands we are using here to bet or to check, or why are we doing that.
All right. Cool.
This is just the beginning, just a start, and we can do a lot of things, right?
Cool.
Thanks for coming up and speaking.
Oh yeah, I talk all day long, so I'm not shy.
Nice. So, anyone else?
Yeah. Got questions. I've got a couple of questions actually. First of all, thanks a lot for doing this. Really cool. Definitely taking a lot from it. Got two questions. One is one's pretty vague, and the other one's more exact. Start with the exact one. What way would you? What would change to what you've spoken about in the context of a tournament? Because I think you've been talking about ring games, haven't you?
I was just talking about a basic, specific fundamentals that you need to approach the pre-flop. The raise sizes I was talking about was for a specific 100 big blind deep stacks. So it is easier to learn the basics because most of the hands that are going to be played, or either it's cash games or tournament, starting of the tournament, you're gonna have a lot of chips, and you can apply these to either cash games or beginning of the tournament. But moving forward, I can explain how to adjust your sizes or ranges when you are getting shorter stacked or deeper stacked. So, but for starting, we just need to understand the specific basics, and then we can just adjust one side or another for a little bit.
Oh, okay, right. Would it be right in guessing that perhaps when your stack gets shorter, your range is also going to get shorter then? Smaller?
Not exactly, but the range, the type of hands you're gonna play are gonna change. For example, if I'm gonna switch to the ranges where I can see this range or where. So, for example, right, you are raising from the button like small pocket pairs like the small suited connected hands. But when you are getting shorter, you're not gonna raise like the small small connected hands. You're gonna better choose to raise like a bigger cards, just to have this possibility to have the high card hand. If you're not gonna hit, at least you have a high card hand. So you get shorter, you're not gonna use the hands that are not gonna win at showdown with a high card. You're gonna use type of hands that can win basically without having a pair.
Yeah, the other thing, I kind of, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but in some ways I'm also a little bit overwhelmed by it all and kind of don't know, I'm unsure where to start optimizing my own game. Would you say, I mean, it seems to me as though the thing about ranges, does that depend a lot on your opponents, or is it a lot more to do with your position you're playing on, where you're on the table? I mean,
first of all, you can start by playing and using these ranges. These ranges you can use when everybody folds to you. You are now to act. You can raise these type of hands. When there are somebody already entered the pot with a raise, then the ranges are changing. The ranges also will change if you get some. For example, you raise, you get a 3-bet. Depending on your opponent, and depending on the raise size, and depending on the position, the ranges will change. So what I need for you to understand, you need to start by the fundamentals. You need to understand the positions. Are you in position, out of position? When I play in position, I can play more. When I'm playing out of position, I need to play less hands. If the raise sizes are bigger, I need to play less hands. If the raise sizes are smaller, I can play more hands. And just if you know the baseline and you know the basic sizings or basic positions, then you will feel free and you will understand how to adjust and which way. So I think basically start with these ranges, fundamentally sound sizings, and just pay attention to your opponents and go from there.
I find it a bit difficult to know how much can I change. If I take these as a baseline, how much flexibility is there? How much can I?
Well, yeah, the flexibility, of course. But for example, here is the flexibility, right? Your default range it doesn't change percentage-wise how many hands you are actually folding, right? You are folding 81% of the time, 82 or a little bit less, right? 77. This is, for example, a specific spot where you are sitting on the cutoff, one away from the button, and a guy in front of you raises, right? If you play a default strategy and the guy is like, okay, player, you just use this first range. You are calling hands in green, 3-betting hands in red, right? If this opponent is a little bit tighter, you are just skipping the bluffing type hands. You are not raising like ace deuce, ace 5 because these hands are used as 3-bet bluffs, right? You are playing a little less aggressive against that guy. You are willing to see more flops in position and go from there, basically. As you see, the percentage of the hands that you are playing is not changing, but how you play is changing. Basically, you are calling 11%, and here you are calling 15%, or you are 3-betting 7% or 3-betting 3%. And next adjustment, totally different player, a loose player, aggressive player, you're gonna 3-bet like 13% hands, not only 3%, right? But the range itself doesn't change how many hands you are playing, but what type of hands you are playing in what kind of manner, that changes, right? You are calling now only 9% hands compared to 15% against a tight player. So this is how you need to adjust. So the basic range in total doesn't change, but it changed a little bit, like for a few percentage, right? Not very drastically, but what type of hands you are playing in what kind of manner, that changes.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, anyone else? Homework, yeah, homework. Somebody else wants the homework, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this was actually the charts that I was referring to on like where you should bet, where you should play tight, where you should play loose, kind of.
Yeah, this is only a pre-flop. How you can
Right.
adjust in a specific spot, yeah. If you choose another spot, for example, a button against, I don't know, under the gun, right? The range itself is going to be different, like maybe a little bit wider range or tighter range. But these are the adjustments, basically. Play against tighter raisers in position and play more pots. Because, if they are raising and they are tight, they're gonna have a stronger range. And in some other player who maybe raises every other hand or every hand, you need to play more aggressively against them, because they are most likely gonna fold some hands that they are raising, maybe some queen six offsuit they are raising. So you need to take advantage of that and re-raise and get them to fold. So this is how you try to adjust. This is just an example, but the principles are there.
Cool. Guys, I really thank you for showing up. Thank you especially to Micro. That was really fucking awesome, man. That was a
All
great
right.
seminar. I appreciate your professionalism and your preparedness and having these charts and this entire slide ready to go. It was a
All
really
right.
nice experience for everybody here, and I know lots of people are going to be really excited for when you're ready to post the recording.
Yep.
How long have you been playing poker?
Almost 20 years. So
20. Jesus.
a little bit more than
Very cool.
half of my life.
Very cool.
Always learning. Poker evolves, so it's fun. You can learn. Always keep learning. So this is the best part of the poker.
Very cool.
Cool. Thanks, guys. I appreciate all the questions as well. We can go ahead and there's a way that I can like end the event. I'll figure it out some way or another. But yeah, I appreciate guys, everybody coming in here. We'll get the recording posted here shortly. And I just hope you all have a wonderful day. And I'll see you on the tables.